lives. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is Internet Marketing Unleashed. I'm your host, Scott Patton, the Dean of Blogonomics and Podology. My guest today is CEO and founder of Funnel Driven. As a lead strategist, web and app developer strategist, and an expert in data-driven behavior, he helps small businesses generate and convert leads as well as develop systems. And I'll tell you, as a small business person myself, developing systems is so crucial because you get to a certain point where you can do everything yourself, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to a point where you can't. And if you don't have systems in place to get the work done, everything can collapse. So this is really, really important. And so if you want to level up your business, you are in the right place at the right time. So he's here today to provide valuable tips, tricks, strategies, resources that you can utilize immediately and give you an edge in an increasingly competitive market. All right, so without any further ado, welcome to the show, Bryce. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. It's you and me got to talk a little bit before we went live, so we have a little bit of an upper hand. But like I was telling you, if you guys that are watching see me rub my jaw or take a pause while talking, like 4 hours ago, I had my jaw cut open and had oral surgery. They extracted a tooth. I had I guess an abscess, and I had a crown that had fallen off Saturday and a cracked tooth. It was a mess. It was
Wow.
a disaster. But so like this part of my face is swollen and still partially numb. So just bear with me.
Oh, so you're not in any pain yet?
Not yet, but I imagine that it will start feeling like absolute trash soon.
So if we're talking and you let out this blood-curdling scream, we know why.
Yeah, I mean, it's sore. Like, you know how when you jab your elbow into something, you can feel the soreness? That's how my jaw feels right now. But there's no sharp pain yet.
Oh, good. And I want to commend you for coming on the show because a lot of people would have said, oh, I had this surgery. It's just, I can't hardly talk. And I'll see you another time. But you're here, and I really want to, acknowledge that. That's wonderful, and I think shows a lot of intestinal fortitude. So well done.
Well, it's like what I tell everybody. Like, I can't have this tattooed on me that says you're made to thrive, not just survive, and preach consistency if every single time something happens, I stub my toe, I make an excuse for it. So it's not about me. It's about helping who's watching this, and hopefully you can take something away from it.
Awesome. All right. So, let's dive into a few things. First of all, what's Funnel Driven? What do you do there, and how did it get started?
So Funnel Driven's a full-service digital marketing and app development company. We've got 3 total legs. We focus solely on really so it's an interesting system, right? I say solely, but there's 3 different versions here. Leg 1 is our traditional digital marketing agency service. We do everything from SEO to sales funnels to digital marketing concepts such as content creation, social media management, all the bells and whistles there, right? It's your lead generation leg. Leg 2 is what we consider Chimera Developments. It's our development wing. And that lets us do virtual reality, augmented reality. We do web development there. We do custom e-com development there. We can build mobile phone applications, desktop applications, hybrid applications. You've probably experienced those, like Calendly. We develop all of our intellectual properties there. And then our third leg is our infopreneurship leg. And that's where we focus on coaching, consulting, doing one-on-ones, doing podcasts, as well as launching digital courses and helping others bring their dream to reality into a digital course. And this all kind of came to fruition really kind of by happenstance. This is my second company that I've started bootstrapped from the ground up. We founded October 1st of 2017, and we founded after I had forcefully sold out of my first company. There was a lot of disaster that happened there, but to kind of wrap it all into a nice little bow, the darkest point in my life led to me finding my why, finding my calling, focusing on helping others, really changing me as a person, and allowing me to help others really kind of change the world. And that's why my mantra is you were made to thrive, not just survive. Consistency conquers complacency, because it's really what's brought me from the darkest point of my life to now, where my life isn't just about me, it's about serving others. And it's a weird thing to experience yourself, but it's why it's so instrumental in how the company's founded, how we do business, why we spend so much time, why I'm here after I just had part of my face ripped out. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Right. It does. It does. So were you always consistent in your life, or is this something that you developed and nurtured?
God, no, I was not always consistent in my life. No. It's so like, here's a prime example, right? Like when I say the darkest time, my upcoming book, it's title pending right now, but it's going to go into detail telling the story. But due to inconsistency, I'd lost a relationship, lost a house at one point, had borderline suicidal thoughts, I guess you could call them, had suicidal depression at one point.
Wow.
Started seeing a counselor, was forcefully put to sell and relinquish ownership of my company due to just like my lack of consistency attributed everywhere. Like I was impatient. I had an attitude. I didn't want to deal with stuff. If it wasn't right now, it wasn't happening. And that led to a lot of things that kind of breadcrumbed into this gigantic snowball of a disaster that I had to deal with. And to give you a little bit of information, I always like to lead with this because I think it's important, but we haven't really talked about it. My prior business was insurance and financial services.
Oh, okay.
And I was quite successful in it. But that also led to a lot of issues. I spent 2 years fighting legal battles, both federally and statewide, because of the prior company I was associated with. October 1st of 2017, the reason I founded this company that day is because it was my way of washing my history away. Right. I left the insurance industry completely alone. I didn't want anything to do with it. It left a bad taste in my mouth. It caused some problems. When I was inconsistent and I was letting things slide and I wasn't closely managing my agency and I was letting staff kind of just do their thing and I'd come in and check on it. And I was kind of a disaster of a person throughout my life, right? Like I like to say historically as a prolific fuck up. That's the old me. And the reason why that's important is I got blamed and accused of what's called a conversion, which is a real fancy way to say fraud. Okay.
Okay.
I got accused of 46 counts of that.
Holy smoke. You don't do things that way, do you?
No, never half-ass anything. Full-ass one thing, right? And so I got accused of 46 counts of conversion, which in the insurance world is issuing a policy to get a premium payment that is either fraudulent in nature, untrue in nature, or a temporary loan payment, meaning that you're just riding a commission train. So you're converting a policy for personal gain, not for the betterment or protection of somebody. 9 of those counts were my own policies.
Oh.
Okay. And I want to make this important. It took 2 years, a FINRA attorney, a local attorney, and 2 plea deals for me to convince and prove my, I can't legally say innocence, but my non-involvement in the accusations.
Okay.
And yeah, so long story short, I wasn't committing conversion. I wasn't committing any crimes or fraud, but I had to accept plea deals that stated that I'll accept one accusation with the exception that I don't come back into the industry, that I don't conduct business in the state for insurance or financial services, that I walk away from the industry, basically just saying here. And we'll wash each other's hands, right? And one of those conditions is I cannot legally deny those accusations, right? So I can't legally say that I did not do these things. If you want to know the truth, Google me, you'll see the accusations, and then you can see the Department of Insurance and federal sites.
Right.
The reason why
you had a forceful career change.
That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, because a lot of people that are going to see this are going to see great young kid internet marketing. What's going on, right? I've been in marketing and advertising since college. It was my minor. I was international business and macroeconomics major at BSU. That's what got my feet wet into it. But what got me doing this full time was I was already doing this for my insurance agency, and I was doing it for the financial services agency. I was doing it for myself because that's how I built the company. I had a forceful career change when I got pushed out of an industry and accepted that. And then 2 years after the fact, after I had already established this company, I was going through legal stuff that just confirmed I made the right decision, right?
Right.
Now, the reason I want to bring that story up is I don't want anybody sitting here thinking I'm some kind of golden boy with floofy hair, right? I have fucked up.
You have hair. Jealous, just that part.
I've fucked up many, many times. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this have fucked some stuff up. I just want you guys to know that if I've changed my life so drastically, because I went from being like the over bravado, men don't feel pain, over cocky little college boy that was going through that experience that led me here, to now somebody whose entire life is based on serving others. You can get to that spot you're meant to be. Just trust the process. Like, you know who you are. Keep moving forward. I was meant to help people build their business and establish who they are so they can thrive, not just survive. You have to find out what that is for yourself.
Awesome. That's amazing. What a great story. And I was 20 years a grocery store manager, and in the 1990s, mid 1990s, we were computerizing, and I looked around and I said, whoa, all the people that are 10 years older than me are either fat, about to have a heart attack, having a heart attack, or having a nervous breakdown. And I thought, I'm no smarter than they are. Here's a system, and the system grinds you to dust, and I can get out now while I'm healthy and young. And it's been quite a journey as well, and it's been a fun ride. And there's a lot of things I don't like about the last 30 years, but I wouldn't change a thing because it's gotten me here. And that's really,
absolutely.
Yeah. So Bryce, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was the marketing aspect, obviously Internet Marketing Unleashed. So why is communication key?
I mean, other than the fact that it's how everything's done everywhere, whether you're talking about subconscious communication, verbal communication, body language, visual stimuli, it's all some form of communication. And if you really want to boil it down, I mean, pheromones are a type of communication, how we're attracted to each individual participant, your spouse, whoever. In today's world specifically, I'd have to say communication and content are king for really one reason. We as a society anywhere in the world are tired of manipulation. We're tired of being told what to do. We are tired of over-polished, over-media centralized content. That's why if you go on Facebook or TikTok, or if you're watching this, I'm sitting in my house, you're sitting on a couch in Colombia, and we're just talking.
Right. Yeah, we're communicating, right?
Exactly. We're not here in some super fancy Hollywood studio. I mean, the lighting behind me sucks. You got one like globe up here, and we're not trying to present something we're not. It's floofy hair and all. We're just communicating about who we are, what the experiences are, how it can help you. And with social media being at our fingertips, you have more ways to communicate with people than you've ever had before. I mean, this one phone, I can communicate with half the world, if not the entire world, in a matter of minutes, I'd say.
Yeah. Particularly if everyone starts sharing what you've got.
Yeah, I mean, memes. Come on. That's a whole new type of communication these days. You don't even have to say anything. Just send a little picture.
Right. I did that the other day and got in trouble.
Did
People
you?
they didn't like my meme. I thought it was hilarious, but they didn't agree with me. It was kind of funny. But so you had mentioned TikTok. So I've heard a lot about TikTok. I've joined it, and can't remember if I've done one video or not. I'll have to do my first video after we're done here, so I can say I've done that. But from a business perspective, like how would you evaluate? Like there's always sort of something new coming along, right? So right now it's TikTok, and maybe it was Twitch a couple of years ago, or 15 years ago Facebook. Like what was that sort of thing? Is there any way that you like? Do we try to communicate on everything, or do we just pick one or two areas to sort of focus on? And if we do, and you decide you don't want to miss the boat because TikTok is the exception to your rule, and you want to get in it, how do you make those sort of evaluations?
So you should do both, and I know that's kind of a weird answer, and some of you may be confused, but let me specify. You should focus on the areas and the contact communication forms, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, that your clientele is at. If you serve an older clientele, Facebook is going to be more prominent to you than TikTok. That's where you want to spend the majority of your time. So if you're getting into a position where you want to run social media ads, or you want to do a lot of organic content, and you have an older clientele, Facebook is going to be significantly better for your return on investment, as well as you just communicating properly to who you want to communicate with, than TikTok. However, you should be omnipresent at all times. Okay. And the reason that's important is, well, we age. Your ideal client may not be on a certain platform right now, but the people that are on a certain platform, let's use TikTok as example, right? Sure, my primary clientele is between 35 and 47. That's kind of where the majority of them age at. Right now, the primary age for TikTok is really like mid-teens to 18 to capping at 21. It's getting a little bit older because more and more people are using it. It is becoming a more and more viable platform for business every day. At some point, those 21-year-olds are going to age up and be in my ideal client mark. If I haven't been doing anything at all.
And they're not actually to leave TikTok now that they get, like when you hit 30, you don't leave TikTok and go to Facebook where you're at, right? You tend to stay with the social media that you use.
Unless there's an acquisition. So right. like Facebook has purchased a lot of different softwares. And when they acquire them, typically that market goes with the acquisition, right? Right. So TikTok may die out, just like Vine did. But the reason Vine died is because Facebook acquired them. Right. So if that happens, yeah, they may move to Facebook or another platform. But the whole point is you want to be available for communication to where your ideal client is. So if your ideal client, say, uses Instagram, be on Instagram. If your ideal client uses Pinterest, be on Pinterest. Now, here's where the beautiful thing comes in. There are softwares and platforms out there, Hootsuite, Buffer, OneUp. I think there's a half dozen other, Hey Leonard. I think there's one called Jazz something. There's a bunch of different softwares out there that can automate your curation. So if you curate content, let's say that you can then recycle that content to different versions of the same content to go on different social media platforms. So you don't have to spend 9 hours sitting there trying to figure out where to post. You just hit a button and it does it for you.
Right. Oftentimes it'll do it automatically as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I use ifttt.com for some of that. Mm-hmm. Well, and like 5 years ago, right? And when I did my last live stream, for some reason I went to Tumblr, and there was my live stream. And I'm like, oh, I know how it got here, but I didn't know that it was going to get here. Yeah. Because I'd forgotten all about it. I had a trigger. And it worked. So how would you know if your ideal clients are on TikTok or they're on Instagram or they're on Facebook? Is there any tools you use to sort of figure that out, or they have demographic information? Or
So you can go off of, like, all social media platforms have demographic information that you can research, right? And if you Google it, it'll show up. The tried and true is really market research. Just like any business, before you launch a product, you do a little bit of market research, right? Same thing's true with your client avatar. Build out your avatar, build out your persona, and then see where the interests and behaviors lie. If Kathy, your ideal client, is 55, the chances of her being on TikTok are pretty low.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just kind of knowing the trends. You can definitely do demographics research. I recommend it. It takes a few minutes. Just Google it. Another way you can do it is if you just like the omnipresent advertising approach, spend a small amount of money on each platform that you're active on and see which ad gets the best response.
Oh, that's a great idea. I really like that idea. Spend $25 on 5 platforms, and one you get 2,500 views and one you get 3. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. You would just not do the one that has 3 again.
Exactly. So so basically all of these social media sites, media is content. How is content evolving in your opinion?
I wouldn't necessarily say content is evolving. I'd say it's maturing. And the reason I'd say that that's an important differentiation is content never changes. It's always people communicating. It's always some form of entertainment. And since the dawn of recorded time, it always follows the 80-20 rule. 80% of it's entertaining, 20% of it is an offer of some kind or further information. That never changes. The way we do it changes. We communicate differently. We speak a different language. We have different entertainment. We have a different medium. But content itself isn't changing. It's just maturing. Video used to be really just dumb, popular, like MTV style skits and pranks on Facebook and on MySpace and on YouTube. And now it's developed into where we can do podcasts like this, influence and change lives through the internet while I've got a hole in my mouth and you're hanging out in Colombia, and we can impact people and make serious change because we have technology. The content hasn't changed. We're just giving it in a different way.
Absolutely. So when we're marketing, we need to get the attention of our ideal prospect, our ideal clients, customers. So what are some of the ways you're seeing that happens?
Well, first off, floofy hair helps. It's caught my attention a few times.
Oh, no. I'm never going to make it now. Bryce, you ruined all my...
So I like the question because it kind of opens the doorway to the fact that there is not one answer to that. Okay. Some people are going to come out and say that there's a secret script or secret formula or secret this or secret that. There is no secret to this. Okay. Communicate to people the way you want to be communicated to, and you'll get the same type of result. It is a consistency thing. You can throw spaghetti at a wall 5,000 times. Eventually it's going to stick. Wouldn't you rather kind of just talk to the people that care, though? Well, right. Communicate with them. Like, I've got here a video script that we use called Ignite. It's like an 18-page video script. Oh. But it's nothing fancy. It's nothing. There's no tips. There's no tricks. There's no clickbait. The first line literally says, "Hey, let me ask you a question." We're just asking to communicate. We're asking for a response on something people care about. We're not coming in and saying, "Hey, check out this Lamborghini I don't own. You want to talk?" No, it doesn't have to be any different than you talking to a friend you haven't seen over drinks. It can be the same type of communication.
So you're talking about authenticity, really being authentic.
100%. Sean Whalen says something, and he opens on a lot of his speeches on it. And what he says is people are starving for honesty and truth. People want real, raw, relevant content. Give it to them.
Yeah, that's really, really true. Because we're just surrounded by lies, I feel,
Well, we see 5,000 to 10,000 ads a day. What's going to stand out when somebody actually cares, somebody actually wants to have a conversation, somebody wants to get to know you? That's going to stand out far more than another wacky, wavy, inflatable, arm flailing tube man with a picture on it.
That's for sure. How's your jaw?
It hurts.
So if you were to talk to somebody that was just looking at starting out online and they were saying, okay, like what should I be consistently doing? Like, where would you just sort of start? Say, like, this is one thing that you should do every day, every week, every hour. Like, because I think this whole consistency thing is really, really important.
So, this helped me. I learned it from Ryan Stewman, and he calls it the E3 and the M3 method. E3 is how you tell a story, right? It's you have an event, you extract a lesson, and you educate your audience on it, and you entertain them through it. It's how you cultivate and curate content, right? It's how newspapers do it. It's the 80-20 rule, basically.
Right.
So as long as you're following the 80-20 rule and you're consistently posting, the M3 method is called the media marketing method. It's a real fancy way to say the 80-20 rule. So it's entertain, educate, and offer, repeat, right? So if you're following those, you're pretty good organically. It's really hard to say if somebody's just starting out what they should do. If you're just starting out and you have a proven product or a proven service, start advertising. If you know your client, start advertising right away. And video is going to be your best friend. A good video campaign, or what we call intent-based branding, because Frank Kern coined that name, where it's basically you just value drop, and then you offer, right? Is gonna be huge. But if you're just looking to get comfortable with media, you're just getting comfortable with the processes, Facebook Lives and Instagram TV all day long. Do one of those every day. You will get more comfortable on video. You will reach a wider audience. You will make a bigger impact. You will make friends. You will change communities. You can show your offer. And if you save that content after you do the recording, you hit the download button. Now you've got a ton of content you can use for ads or posts, and you can share it somewhere else.
Right. Awesome. That's great. I know we're coming pretty much to the end of our time. I don't want to keep you too long because I know you're in pain. But before we go, I have a question that I like to ask, which is, what things are the most important to you right now?
Like personally or in business?
And
because if we're doing both, like right now, my jaw not hurting is pretty high on that list.
A good one.
But no, I'd have to say, I think it's the same for everybody. Take care of those who take care of me, family, friends, being grateful, having an abundant mindset, taking care of those around me, having an impact, leaving a legacy. Those are what's important to me. And at the end of the day, like I get asked this question of like, how do you know you're successful? Well, money's a vehicle that proves that, right? The money comes after you provide value. I'm a huge believer that you are paid directly in proportion to the size and amount of problems that you solve for other people. So if you're curious on like where you are stacking up, just help somebody else. Like if you need something for you, help somebody else. You will get help in return. So it's not like it's money itself, while I love it, isn't an importance to me. It's what I can do with that money that is important to me, right? Making an impact, making a change, helping somebody out that couldn't otherwise do it, creating opportunity. And at the end of it all, I mean, if I've impacted one person's life to be better, then it was all worth it. It's just about getting to that point. If I can leave a legacy then everything that I've done's been worth it.
Beautiful. So before we go, I want to give you a few minutes to talk a little bit more about closemorebiz.com or anything else, or so it doesn't have to be that, or anything else you want to leave our audience with now and in the future.
So if any of you watching this go to results.closemorebiz.com, it's the URL that you see right below, right there. You can see all the offerings that my digital marketing agency offers. If you need help with any of it, feel free to reach out. We are always happy to help. But because I want to make sure you guys are taken care of, if you happen to go over to, let me just verify the URL. Give me 1 second. I think it's www.drivenroi.com. I think I got that live specifically for you guys. I did. So if you go to www.drivenroi.com, anybody who's watching this, if you fill out the little Get My Blueprint Now button, you'll get a full PDF document that shows the one funnel that works. It's a client acquisition system from top to bottom. You can take that document, you can take the information in there, the access, it is yours to keep. It will give you instructions, copy, directives, exactly how to set it up so that by the end of that document, you can do it today. Go on there. You can have an entire ecosystem and sales funnel up and running, content out there, guidance and support for it to start growing your business and making a larger impact. And that's at no cost. All you have to do is go fill out the form and we'll email one to you here by the end of the day.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Bryce. That's very generous. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us and get on the show. And hopefully your jaw will feel much better tomorrow. Get a good night's sleep.
I imagine it's going to get worse tomorrow and then probably start getting better the day after if it heals anything like the last time I had to go to the dentist.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Bryce. Really appreciate you and the information that you shared today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Head over to drivenroi.com, get your funnel started, take action, be consistent, and set your goals. I think Bryce gave a really good example of what was important to him, and I think you need to take some time, sit down, decide what's important for you, and then take steps towards doing it. This is Internet Marketing Unleashed. I'm your host, Scott Patton, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.